Zach, you and I still talk a lot about video games all the time, and one of the more anticipated ones of the year, if not the decade, because I can't think of anything like this in recent
decade.
Cyberpunk 2077 coming out November 19th. A whole lot of hoopla going on, and I hit you up this morning. I said, Zach, this game is just way too big to fail. There is no way this comes out and people don't like it. And you had an opposing thought, and I thought it'd be fun to make a video on it. So here we are doing that. Hi, everybody. I'm Gabe. That's Zach over there doing things. He's wearing a very cool hat.
Hanging out in the tie-dye as we are about to tie down our opposing thoughts. And look, Cyberpunk is one of the most hyped games of all time. We had like this fun text conversation of like, what are the other games that have been as anticipated as Cyberpunk? And the list is like really small.
Tiny.
And that had me thinking, like, when you said, hey, this game can't possibly fail, I wondered, is this game set up so well to fail? Because the anticipation is so high, there's like so much room for potential letdown if it doesn't deliver.
Before we get into it, though, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe. Twitter and Twitch links are down below. A link to Zach. You know who Zach is anyways, but I'll put one anyways just in case one person doesn't know who you are, and I'll send them your way. Regardless. Okay, so here's my reasoning for thinking it's too big to fail, Zach. First of all, such a long lead-up time, right? Again, we talked about the games that had something similar, and I can think of maybe 3, right? And two of them are Rockstar games. Right. And one of them is the last Mass Effect, not Andromeda, the last Mass Effect game in trilogy. Those are the only ones I can think of. But when something is this beloved, right, whether rightfully so or not, because the game isn't out, I feel like even if it is not as good, because I do not think this game has a chance in hell of being bad. It's been just stating.
Right. I agree with that.
It's been in development for way too long. CD Projekt Red, they know what they're doing over there. So I don't think the game stands a chance of being bad quality. But even if people don't like it, I think people might be ashamed to say that they don't like it, because they're instantly going to get attacked by the CD Projekt Red hive. And that is a big hive.
That's a very 2020 mindset, I guess. I just think, like, to me, that is one option. And the other is, if this game's an 8 out of 10, that's a failure, I think, for a lot of people. The anticipation is so high. There's been so many years of waiting and wondering and watching. The trailers look insane. The graphics are so good. The cars look sick. The characters look awesome. Customization is off the charts. The districts, the different areas of the city, the day-night cycle, the combat. So if it's not incredible, all of that time spent waiting, wondering, wanting, doesn't that feel a little let down then?
Maybe, but I feel like people are really good at lying to themselves and lying to others. And maybe I am coming to it from like a different perspective, because I'm thinking more of just like the human psyche in 2020 and how nobody likes admitting that they're wrong. Nobody likes admitting that they don't think like everyone else. So I feel like...
So you're saying this game is like, it's going to be lauded by critics and therefore lauded by like Reset Era and forums and therefore lauded by fans, even if they don't genuinely love it. The thing to do is to be, I love Cyberpunk, I get the t-shirt, and so it's going to be loved no matter what. Okay, I can definitely subscribe to that theory.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean by this game is like too big to fail. This thing got announced a long time ago. How are you in development for like so long, and then you come out and you're a flop? That doesn't generally happen.
I think flopping's impossible. It's just, okay, taken from maybe a more level-headed approach, like if this game's an 8 out of 10, does that feel like a letdown for you?
No, but you also got to remember that I'm not one of the people that's like sitting here dissecting every single thing about the game, right? Like I'll watch the trailers and I think the gameplay looks phenomenal. I'm very excited for it. There's nothing I'm more excited for in entertainment than this game right now. Like it's gotten to that point for me. But if the game is an 8 out of 10, like an 8 out of 10 is great. Like I don't.
An 8 out of 10 is great, but when you're CD Projekt Red, and like you said, you've been developing this for 6-7 years, and there's so much anticipation, and because they have set themselves up not to be a good game, they've set themselves up not to be a big game, they've set themselves up, like you said, to be the biggest event of the gaming year. Like, it's interesting to me that in a year where The Last of Us Part 2 comes out and is pretty darn great, Cyberpunk blows it out of the water in terms of the hype levels, right? So they've set themselves up to, they need to home run the heck out of this, or I think at least a subsection of people will feel bummed. Yes, the majority may just kind of go along with the hype, and if it's still fun, it's still fun. I think the game, like, to me, anything below an 8 out of 10 is impossible. I don't think they have it in them to, like you said, to spend all this time and crunch and do all this and deliver a low rate product. But like, if this game isn't game of the year, to me, it'll feel like somewhere along the way it was wasted or something went wrong, because as much as we have added the hype, so have they.
And I want to talk about CD Projekt Red for like a second, right? Because I don't know if it's us placing the expectations on them, because it's almost like insurmountable, right? Like the amount of hype that is here now. But they've done they were for the 5+, 6+ year development cycle, they've been very quiet up until.
Have they though?
Yes, up until
games
now.
Been shown off at E3 like 3 years in a row.
Yes, but then they go radio silent and they don't say a word until recently, right? Because now the game's coming out. Before, when they delayed the game, they went like radio silent for a long time. Remember, this is like 7 years. They have not been like constantly talking about this thing for 7 years.
No, they haven't. But I think if you want to talk about 2020, I think the new 2020 model is to keep very coy about your game until it's ready to go. And it feels like they've been silent because it's been announced so far in the past. But the last couple of years, I feel like they have their own basically direct Night City Radio or Night City TV or whatever. They have their own presentation, so they're absolutely pushing this thing aggressively.
Now, because it's coming.
And I did see it at E3 multiple years in a row, which doesn't happen very often.
I will say this. I wanted to touch on this for a second, because although even just today, right, we saw criticism about CD Projekt Red, and we won't get into that. But for whatever reason, right, they don't make a lot of games, but they have become this beacon of hope in gaming. They have become what people for some reason perceive to be as a lighthouse out in the middle of an ocean for what video game development should be, right? No loot boxes, free DLC on top of paid DLC that's substantial, right? The Witcher 3 made that series mainstream when it wasn't before, just sales wise. I know a lot of people really enjoyed it, but they have like so few games under their belt. How did this even happen?
I think it's bananas that a studio that most people have played a game from is like their most beloved studio. They do things right. They know gamers with a game that most people played. Yes, plenty of people did play Witcher 1 and 2. We were looking back at the sales and the Metacritics, and they were still very well received, but it, like you said, didn't hit mainstream until Witcher 3. I think that almost works in their favor, though. If you're, say, Irrational Games and your only game is BioShock, man, you're definitely a lighthouse. I mean, literally in that case. But if you only have one title or two titles, it's so much easier to be this perfect beacon. There's not a lot of opportunity to fail. There's not a lot of opportunity to screw it up. You know, with Fallout, I feel they kind of, the more they did, the less it was loved. Mass Effect, same thing. The more they did, the less it was loved. And so I wonder if a lot of that has to do with, like, CD Projekt Red is like the hot new actor, right? Like when, I don't know, for me personally, like Miles Teller gets on the scene, he makes Whiplash and a few great movies, and like he can do no wrong, and then he's in more movies, and you're like, nobody cares about Miles Teller. That's kind of where I think CD Projekt Red is. They're bigger than Miles Teller, gosh, but they haven't had the time or even the opportunity really to fail.
From being like such a small team to what they are now, it's insane. And
they're the face of their country, dude.
How crazy is that?
It is. I mean, and The Witcher is like a book series, so you know, and Cyberpunk is also an RPG. So like they're adopting.
It's a tabletop RPG, yeah.
Right. So they're adopting these IP and converting it into a fantastic game, because we've had one opportunity to see, but it is. I mean, because I can't even think of currently. Irrational's dead. I can't think of another developer. I mean, Naughty Dog, I guess, is probably the only other comparable team, right?
Yeah, I mean, Guerrilla's kind of headed in that direction a little bit, I feel like, just because people loved Horizon so much, and I feel like they have some fun stuff in the works, and I'll talk about that in another video specifically soon. But yeah, I mean, kudos to them, because whatever they did with Witcher 3, and regardless of how you and I may feel about it, right? Because I don't think that's either of our favorite game of the last generation, like it was for a lot of people. Like, they built this house all on their own, and to have to have their own destiny in their hands. If they deliver here, dude, like they instantly become like the
king of the castle.
Yeah, the most top tier developer in gaming, right? If this thing comes out and it's a 10 out of 10, like a lot of people expect it to be, where would you want to work other than that if you're into video? I mean, a different country, I guess. Like going over there.
Well, and they kind of hit a perfect spot because whether it was planned or it's taken longer, you know, to me, their biggest competitor, Bethesda, in this space, the genre, has not put out a full game in a long time. 76, very different than what most people want to Fallout. You know, Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 have been announced, but we know nothing about them, no gameplay. So what is competing with Cyberpunk right now? And I think that's another important sort of facet of this. For those players that love those massive worlds, those 100-hour games, those stories and characters that they can get so invested in and so much attention to detail, there's nothing really like it right now. I mean, I guess the closest thing might be, it's not the same, but I'd say like RDR2 is like the closest recent example, but at this point that game is multiple years old and kind of, you know, already in the past. There's not a lot of competition, so they not only have a fantastic product, they not only have a fantastic but short history, they are the player in this space, and there's nobody else that really comes close. I don't think a game like Assassin's Creed or Watch Dogs, I don't think those games even come near what the level of a Witcher 3 or a Cyberpunk.
I mean, nothing does. I was thinking of the Outer Worlds.
Elder Scrolls would.
Elder Scrolls would. But I was thinking of the Outer Worlds when you were mentioning the games you were mentioning. But again, it's just not on the same level whatsoever.
And what do you think, like, what is their secret sauce? Is it story? Is it attention to detail? Is it scope?
It's a little bit of everything, right? I feel like they do lore amazingly well. People love that. And yeah, their world building is really impressive with this little direct set they have going on, the Nightwire stuff. Is that what it's called, Nightwire?
Yeah, I think so. Ghostwire, Nightwire, Ghostwire is a different game, Gabe. But yeah, I think, you know, it's also that there might be something to the fact that they are basing their characters on already existing lore.
No, dude. Who, like, I'm not trying to whatever. Who plays these tabletop games? Like, who plays?
No, but what I'm saying is it's based on something that was established in theory from quality writers, as opposed to, hey, let's see who can write the new Assassin's Creed protagonist.
Yeah.
There's a level of, I mean, they got lucky or they chose correctly, but like a author penning the characters from Witcher 3, to me, has much more chance to be engaging than hiring a games writer to generate some new character.
Yeah, I mean, but that's already off topic, and we're already running a little bit long here. But so you're saying if it's anything, like if it's an 8 out of 10, you think that's like they failed?
I mean, no, because again, it's an 8 out of 10. But I think in the psyche of people who have been sitting here patiently for 6 years, I think, and I'll even say for me, because there's so much anticipation, so much hype, this is kind of like, it's not a next-gen game, but like it might as well be. I think this is what everybody wants to play. If this game isn't number one, at least for this year, if it's not special, Gabe, it's silly that we've been waiting this long. It's silly that we've been excited this long. It's silly that we've been convincing ourselves this long.
But you haven't. It's like, and that's where I feel like maybe there are people like us that are super excited for the game now, but I haven't like been like.
No, I haven't followed it obsessively, but I recognize, like you said, this is a major media event, and if that doesn't follow through, it's like, it's just a good game, another good game.
The last thing, let's try to keep it under a minute. Top seller of the fall. And this becomes difficult because Call of Duty being Call of Duty.
Yeah, I think it's still Call of Duty.
You mentioned Animal Crossing, but on a single platform. And I said, maybe Animal Crossing will outsell it like on one SKU, but I can't think of anything that'll outsell this thing. No matter how good the game is.
I think Black Ops Cold War still.
Yeah, again, that's so tricky to deal with.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I said 10 minutes. We made 15, so that's really what I meant.
We're following in the footsteps of CD Projekt Red, delivering more than you could even imagine, more content than you can even handle.
Yeah. So hey, thank you guys. Hey, if you guys like seeing Zachary, let him know somehow. Go tweet at him or something and send him a crown emoji. That way he knows that you guys liked him on this video. But thank you once again for being here. How excited are you guys for CD Projekt's magnum opus. I'm calling it that before it even comes out. That's like the most 2020 thing.
Basically is.
It's the most 2020 thing I could do. But hey, regardless, the hype is ballooning, and it will pop one way or another. Maybe it'll be a confetti pop or an acid pop. I mean, we probably don't want acid is bad.
How about candy? Can we just get some candy? Like a piñata?
Okay. Regardless, it's popping at some point. November. You guys already know all about it. We should stop talking. Thank you for being here. Bye.